Well, this week we are going to begin to work our way down the West Falmouth district. As I'm sure you're all aware, West Falmouth district is basically, and we can zoom in a little bit here. There we go. A little bit better. All right. Move over a little bit. How's that sound? Yeah, that kind of gives a good portion of it anyway. But we're down Palmer Avenue, where the wooden railroad bridge is on Palmer Ave, up to the high school, Brayside. Technically, all this area here of Long Pond, 28A, and then all the way up through West Falmouth Village itself. And we have covered before all the North Falmouth district, and now we're going to be working our way down, and they're going to break up this area over here, the Silver Beach area of West Falmouth. We're going to break that into two areas, basically divided by the cliffs and Fox Lane. We'll take in this segment today, and then the next segment will be this lower section here of the old Silver Beach area, and we'll work our way down. But today we're going to be working on this area here. This here was taken obviously in the summertime because of all the cars at the beach. But this is the public area of Old Silver Beach, and it's important for us to make that distinction when we're a dispatcher, and when our response is, we can ask people if they're unsure, then it's just best to send both units, but in the case that we do know, it's best to send them. So this is the Old Silver. There's two bathhouses on Old Silver Beach. So as far as the dispatcher is, we need to discern whether it's the public side or the reserve side for residents. This concrete block building holds a snack bar and shower facilities. And then obviously we have this back parking lot here. And the other place that I want to hit real quick in this Old Silver area is just this condo complex, because the reason I want to separate these from everything else we'll talk about is that predominantly every other structure in this area this week and next week that we're going to talk about are single-family dwellings, wood frame single-family dwellings, and that brings about its own hazards, as we all well know. But the bathhouse presents essentially a commercial business occupancy. It's a block building with wood frame roof. So we're talking about that looking like a typical taxpayer. It's on a slab building, but we're looking at like a taxpayer type building for the snack bar with a business occupancy. Here we have the condo complex, and I believe this building here, the southern building, has like 6 units, and this upper building has 4 units, and they're built in the 70s. And I don't know what they have for firewalls or sheetrock between the units or all that stuff, but when we're talking about multifamily units, we're raising the bar as far as hazards are concerned, of fire extension and life hazard. We get a fire in this building here in the summertime, in the middle of the night, we're talking about potentially 12 people, if not more, that we need to account for. But that being that. Everything else that we're going to be talking about here is single family. And I know that I'm going to move off of this Google map here real quickly because I know that it's with all the trees, the picture here that that's being shown here is hard to discern the trees. So I would urge you to go on your own Google map and look it over and just see the way it's shown up. What really is predominant here is the way the cliffs is set out here. It really does show, even though there are a lot of paper roads in the cliffs, there is this large area here that as you enter the cliff road that's undeveloped. And we have these roads to the north and we have these roads to the south. And that's the way it is. So as we're dispatching or we're giving directions, we do not want to be saying go on Noshawn Road south or Cuttyhunk Road south or Nonamesset Road south. We have to be aware that those are on paper and don't exist. Okay, so I'll quickly go over to the town map here. And one of the things that we will notice right away with this map is that there are a lot of hydrants in the area. And there is. It's predominantly a hydrant area, which is a good thing, for just about every 500 feet or so, which is good. The thing that we want to beware of, there's a few areas that do not have hydrants, and we'll just walk our way through them once this map fills in. And we'll work our way along here. Oh, there, it's not gonna, we want to go back to the previous extent. Okay. For some reason, we're not going to. Okay. All right, that's all right. All right. Good. Now we'll try to keep this into center. Keep this centered here. All right. Obviously, Old Silver Beach, as we were talking about before, up over here. We enter Say Road right off of Quaker, and we enter into the first road on the left is J Road over here. This section over here is J Road. There we go. Just have to get that in the center of the map there. Okay. Center of the picture. Okay, we won't move it around any longer. All right. So we're looking at J Road. We come up Say, and we turn on the left is Say J Road, and as you notice, there's a hydrant just right on the corner, but no hydrant down towards the end. And granted, that's probably only about 500 feet, so we're probably in good shape as far as the trucks. We go up Say Road, and we've had a fire in the past on the corner of Say and Quaker, right in here, and we've also had a fire in the back of Spartina Place. I believe it was this house back over here. So this is the area we've had fires in the past, and there in this area here, this Say Road and J Road area, there's about 48 houses in there. So there's significant amount of houses, and they're all probably $300,000 or $400,000 houses, probably 2,000 square foot houses. And we run up to Dale Drive, Eldred Circle, up in that area there, and we come up over here. As we come down, we have this little side road here, Old Shore Road, okay, And we've had a fire right, I believe one of these houses here, there was a dryer fire in the second floor closet right up in there. And so we Frederick Road, the first left is Myers. Old Silver Lane is a fairly new road. And then Frederick runs all the way out to a couple of houses way in the back. And this last section of Frederick Road, as you'll notice, does not have any hydrants either. The last hydrants are here at Old Silver Lane. And as you'll see, it changes to a dirt road and gets a little rugged back in here, and there's these two houses in the back. So just be advised that we want to be able to grab those hydrants as we go back, and you got 60 and 61 back over here. Then we go to Cartway, which is off Old Shore, and that's Cartway. Comes down a little cul-de-sac. Then we come into the Fox Lane development, which has been pretty active for rescues. And I believe we did have a fire in one of these houses down here. I don't know if I forgot whether it was this and the other one. I think it was one or two there. But anyway, Fox comes in, and the first left is Edge Hill, Hummingbird, Tall Pine, and of course Fox Lane runs all the way out to the back. And once again, in this development here, you're talking about is about 50 houses in there as well. But there's hydrants throughout. Most of these houses were built from 70 to 1980. Obviously, some are obviously newer. They could be built in the last few years, but the development itself is not much older than the mid-70s. And then we're just going to take a quick shot over to the cliffs. And we should recognize the cliff development on just about any map that we see. This kind of fan-shaped development here. But once again, hydrants throughout, which is a good thing. The only things that I have found is you really should drive this area here so you can get familiar with it. A lot of these houses down over in here are fairly new. Some of these in here are obviously the 60s and 70s. But when we break off to the north, obviously that's a right off a cliff. The south roads are a left off a cliff. But the things that I have found confusing is once you get into this area here, and see if we can zoom in and see that particular difference here. Okay, you might be able to discern it there. And this is off the GIS map, by the way, that dispatchers have. Is right in here. You see obviously that the numbers on Noshawn South do run concurrently down. But once you get into here, we have 40 and 44, and then we jump over to 47. And then we have a 43. So we have a 43 here and a 43 and 39. But the reason for that is this is Noshawn Circle. Okay, so Noshawn South comes down and ends right here. Noshawn Circle, the numbers start over here. Okay, when we take a right, and the numbers come around this way back onto Noshawn South. So these numbers at the end of Noshawn Circle are very similar to the ones on Noshawn South, and it can be confusing even when you're driving down there, especially with this size house right here. This is one large house on two lots. And then they have over here Noshawn Way, okay, with these two houses down in the end here. Okay, and their numbers are actually Noshawn Circle numbers. So that's just something to be aware of. Want to bring up Let's see. We will bring. Okay, we'll take a quick look at the town of Falmouth map there. This just shows some of the topography. I know the lines are a little rough to see, but what I did want to point out is that the topography in there can be a little rugged as we get closer to the glacial moraine. It does have a lot of potholes in there, and what we're looking at here is the dirt road that's on Frederick right down over here that runs out obviously where we were talking about before, but the hydrant is here and these two houses are down at the end. Here it only shows one house. Perhaps there is only one house down there, but on the other map it showed two. So in here we go up on J Road and Say Road, showing the hydrant system up in there, and nothing on J. And on Edge Hill, obviously, I mean Fox Lane and Edge Hill, Hummingbird and Tall Pine, hydrants throughout in there. Okay. And just, some minor thing to keep in mind. We've talked before about the bike path and how much of an asset it is to Falmouth and really how much it's already being used. Over in here, we have Bourne's Pond. This is Crocker Pond, and the parking lot for Bourne's Farm is over in here. So there's access to the bike path over here. As we turn from the back of the bike path and we end up this whole section here, there's not really any access points except for Bourne's Farm. We could, Bourne's Farm here would be the perfect one, but if there are people on Tall Pine Road that are calling about something on the bike path, then we could go to their houses and then come through the bike path. But what I wanted to point out was that Bourne's Farm is an access point for the bike path, but as we work up, there's not that much of an access in this area here. The next one's way down at Chase Road. So just be advised that that's what we're looking at. Eric Clausen Lane, we can get at that too. All right. Let me see. We'll get up to these pictures here. First off, we'll bring this one up. Okay, let's zoom in here. Okay, pardon me while I get my pictures going here. Okay, this is the one I wanted first. Okay, I don't know why they didn't come up right away. I'll wait for that one to load. This will be a picture of the bathhouse at Old Silver, which I'm sure many of us are aware of. There we go. All right, finally. All right, pretty familiar with that. So that's what we're looking at. Concrete building with wood roof structure. Wanted to here's the picture of the condominiums. I couldn't capture the whole condominium complex as the angle of the road and so forth, but as you can see, there's 4 units here, and this unit here in the front has 6, so there's 10 units in this complex. So just something to see there, and just showing you here some of the size of the houses and the construction that we have. This house here has a solar roof, some solar panels on the roof that we may or may not see in the dark. Not that it'll really cause us any hazard except to step on them or to put a ladder on and so forth. Just a unique structure. Another unique structure, that this one is on the corner of Old Shore Road in Quaker. It's an A-frame. All right, and And just to point out another type of construction, this one I believe was on Frederick Road, down around Myers Road. Looking at it, we can assume or presume that this was an original cottage type structure, and to the left of it we've added on what amounts to is a Cape Cod style house with a garage down below. So we would presume that this area is probably fairly recently, probably 80s or 90s, probably that type of construction, whereas this house here, being a cottage, has probably had a lot of rehab to it. Perhaps has substandard roof elements to it. You know, your guess is as good as mine the way this is done here. But the other thing I noticed was how this section of the porch, I don't know if you can see it on here. I'll see if I can zoom in here. There we go. The other thing I noticed here was how this porch here looked to be blocked off with a gate or something. So if we were going up to the house in the middle of the night, we would be presented with some sort of unknown obstacle there. Okay, moving on. We'll capture one other house here. I believe this one here was in the cliffs. You know, nothing really different about it except its size. The other factor I just wanted to point out, a lot of times we have garages with just attic storage space above, but this house, like a lot of houses, has a bonus room, which could be a bedroom or a living room or a game room, above a garage. There's 5/8 sheetrock in the ceiling of the garage, but if there's a car fire or so forth, and we have that particular hazard there. And the other thing I wanted to point out here was the size of these windows here on these doghouse dormers, which is unusual. Usually you only see one, and here we have a double mullion here. Just something unusual to point out. Okay, that will about wrap up where we wanted to talk here on the Old Silver Beach section of West Falmouth. We'll just review some of the points. Here we go. All right, back out. There we go. All right, so we're talking about Old Silver Beach, the West Falmouth section of Old Silver. Definitely the cliffs, Fox Lane, Old Shore Road neighborhoods. Approximately 200 single-family dwellings, 400 to 500 residents. A sizable portion of that is seasonal. No business, with the exception of the beach concession stand. I will mention the multi-unit Old Silver condos. We've talked about that. And we've also talked about the roads in the area. We've talked about Quaker Road, Old Shore, Sage, Dale, Spartina, Eldridge, Frederick, and Myers, Old Silver, Cartway, Cliff, Anonymessets, North, Uncatina, North, North Shawne Way. We've talked about these. The hazards, there is the low hazards there as far as we go. Obviously the hazards that come with single-family residences. The difference being we have the condos and the beach shower house. No hydrants on the ends of Frederick Road and J Road. Response is 24 on a rescue and the Station 3 ambulance. No surprises there. The response distances and times. This is for 80 Fox Lane, which is about halfway down Fox Lane. We have about 2 miles. So we're talking about 5-minute response time from Station 4, and from Station 3, 3 miles. About a 7-minute response time. Station 1 for the latter, you're talking 13 minutes. So we're talking about 23 and 24 getting to a building fire approximately the same time, with headquarters coming approximately 6 to 8 minutes beyond their arrival time. So that's quite an amount of time. By the time the ladder gets there and gets set up and the crew gets there, you're talking 15 minutes. You're talking close to a bottle of air done by the time that crew gets there. And if we haven't changed the fire by the time headquarters shows up, we should be beginning to evaluate where we're at, because we're going to be over that 15 or 20 minute time. One of the engines is out of service, or one of the ambulances out. Station 5 is next closest at 7 miles, and Station 2 at 8.5 approximately. Okay, so that wraps that up for the West Falmouth Old Silver Beach area. And thank you once again, and stay safe, and eat healthy.